Hello, I'm Ace the Supervillain, and I want to demonstrate to you the idea of a cube sphere. So the background for this, Toady mentioned that he wanted to try making uh, different planes of existence for Dwarf Fortress, and he said that he could do a cylindrical world because that would map to squares very easily. But he couldn't do a spherical world because spheres don't map to squares very easily. So I wanted to show you a cube sphere because I don't know if you necessarily know about that. Basically, the idea is you start with a cube like this, um, and as you can see, I have a world map on it just for show. Of course, this is a pixel graphic. It is made by little squares, so we've got you've got the basis down there. And so what you do is to make a cube sphere, you take a cube and you subdivide it like that. Let's keep the smoothness down to 0 first. So as you can see, you can, like, that's pretty simple, right? You've starting with squares, and you can turn the squares into a grid of however many you want, although Blender will only let me do 10 at a time. And I prefer 9 at a time since it would get me one down the middle. But basically, you get the idea. So now, whoops. So then once you have your subdivisions, the idea of a cube sphere is that you just kind of bulge out the sides of your cube until it takes the shape of a sphere, which will look like that. And so now you have a sphere on which every single, all of the surfaces of this sphere are made up of pretty close to the same size squares. Ta-da, and then you can see if I take away the lines, you can kind of not really barely tell that this is any sort of shenanigans going on. It just looks like a perfect alien fantasy planet. So one of the things that people asked about was how do the corners work? Because in the first diagram I showed, it was a little odd. So let's see. Most of these are in the water. As we'll look at this one. So as you can see, so each square still has 4 sides. So like if we were looking at this square, you can walk up, left, right, or down, and you'll get there. The only difference on the corner is you're walking up, left, right, and down is that the right and down ones are also connected to each other, whereas see, I can actually select it like that. So like that's on a normal one, that's on a corner, so it's still looking at that corner. Still pretty easy, and then let me zoom in on this area down here. So as you can see, here it is on the map. So basically, instead of walking, from here into wherever, you walk from here into there. And so there is some translation between a flat surface and a sphere, but this is this is something that we have in 3D art when we need something that is even on all sides. So I'm hoping it will, for that reason, it will also be useful to you making Dwarf Fortress. So then just in case it were helpful. I also made this kind of more pixelated map, so you can maybe see a little more accurately what that would look like with kind of Dwarf Fortress graphics. So as you can see, there is some distortion, the warping they call it. And obviously this subdivisions that I made here don't particularly line up with the I think this is a 64 by 64 pixel map, so there's probably a way I could do it that would be pretty close to pixel perfect with these, but I'm not a math guy, so that's something I'm sure Toady could figure that out. But yeah, so there's, like a little pinching there, but as far as, if you're really looking at like that entire, where's a more interesting one? I guess interesting, we need to go back to this thing. Try to go at our lake system here. Like if you're really in Dwarf Fortress, you're really going to be looking at, a real close-up look at this square of the world. It is down here. So I think a little warping here and there, it's not going to make a great big deal. So anyways, that's pretty much the cube sphere. Hope that's helpful. Hope this is something that's useful to you for working on Dwarf Fortress. Ace out.